Elon Musk stepped out of his office without a word. No explanation, no warning. His security team scrambled, trying to track him down, but he didn't care. Tonight, he needed space, a moment to clear his mind. Without informing anyone, he exited the building into the cool evening air, with no particular destination in mind, just a brief escape from the chaos of his life. Dressed simply in a hoodie and jeans, Elon blended into the crowd. No flashy accessories. No one would recognize him. He walked aimlessly down the busy streets, distancing himself from the noise and pressure of his world. After a few blocks, he noticed a high-end restaurant, a place where wealthy people dined in luxury. But tonight, Elon just wanted a quiet meal, free from attention. Without hesitation, he entered the restaurant, unnoticed, just another man seeking dinner. As he walked deeper into the dining room, the weight of his name seemed to fade away. The hum of quiet conversations, the clinking of glasses, and the aroma of gourmet dishes filled the air. No one paid him any mind. He was simply another diner. Standing at the entrance, Elon surveyed the room. The tables were filled with well-dressed patrons, their laughter echoing softly. There were no open seats. A young waiter approached, exuding an air of arrogance. "Table for one?" he asked, his gaze briefly flicking over Elon. Elon nodded quietly, his attention on the menu behind the waiter. He didn't want special treatment, just a peaceful meal, but the waiter didn't seem interested in accommodating him. "Table for one?" he asked, taking his glance at the waiter for an instant. Without so much as a glance in Elon's direction, the waiter began guiding him to the back of the restaurant, away from the lively center and windows. No questions, no consideration for Elon's preferences, only a dismissive tone and cold demeanor. Elon sat without protest, but the lack of protest stung. The waiter didn't offer even a polite greeting before walking away. As Elon settled into his seat, he overheard the waiter speaking to a colleague across the room. "Another guy, trying to look rich. Probably can't even afford the meal he's about to order." Elon's eyes narrowed, but he remained silent. The insult cut deeper than he wanted to admit. He'd been judged on appearances, as if he were just another nobody trying to fit in. The waiter went on, offering smiles and attentive service to the wealthier patrons. Elon sat quietly, but it was hard to ignore the murmurs and judgment. The waiter, passing by again, leaned in slightly, speaking just loudly enough for Elon to hear. "Some people think they can just walk in here and blend in wearing a cheap suit. Pathetic." Elon's grip tightened around his glass. His blood boiled, but he stayed silent. The waiter wasn't done. As he walked away, he muttered, "Can't even afford a decent meal here. Probably just here to show off." Elon's jaw tightened, but he refused to react. He had been in enough situations like this to know that silence was often the best response. But the waiter passed by once more, giving Elon a judgmental look, his eyes filled with condescension. This time, Elon couldn't let it slide. The waiter's behavior was loud enough to catch the attention of people at nearby tables, but he didn't care. He was confident in his superiority, assuming Elon was just another pretender. That was the breaking point for Elon. He had enough of the insults and dismissiveness, the assumption that he was just another wealthy fool. The waiter approached to take his order, a fake smile still plastered on his face. Elon didn't miss a beat. "You've been talking about me, haven't you?" Sir, I'm not sure what you mean," the waiter stammered, unable to meet Elon's gaze. Elon leaned in slightly, his voice colder now. "I heard what you said earlier about my cheap suit and how I don't belong here." The waiter's face drained of color as realization hit. I didn't mean." "Don't lie," Elon interrupted. "You assumed I wasn't worth your time, that I didn't belong. Let me set the record straight." Grimacing, he returned to his room, already reached war. The waiter fumbled for words, but Elon wasn't giving him a way out. "That's the problem," Elon continued, his gaze unwavering. The waiter's eyes widened, his voice shaking. I'm sorry, I didn't realize." Elon sat back in his chair, his tone softening just slightly, but still sharp. "That's the issue. You looked at me and assumed. It's not about the suit, or the car, or the watch. It's about how you treat people. And you didn't treat me with respect. You treated me like I was invisible." The waiter swallowed hard, his guilt hanging heavy in the air. He opened his mouth to apologize again, but Elon raised a hand to stop him. "Apologies don't fix anything," Elon said calmly. "What matters now is that you remember this. People deserved respect, no matter who they are or how they look. That's a lesson you need to learn." The waiter stood there, humiliated, unable to meet Elon's eyes. The weight of Elon's words was too much. Elon wasn't angry. He was simply telling the truth, and that truth was the hardest pill to swallow. The restaurant had fallen silent. The tension hung thick in the air. Finally, Elon spoke again, his voice softer now, but carrying the full force of his message. "I'm not angry with you," he said, "but I want you to understand. People don't judge you by how you look or what you wear. If you want to succeed, you need to stop judging people like that. You'll never know who someone really is if you make assumptions about them based on appearances." The waiter opened his mouth to speak, but Elon stopped him again. "Don't apologize," he said firmly. For a long moment, they stood in silence. The waiter was shaken, realizing he had judged someone he had no idea about. And beyond that, he understood the reflection of his own character in his actions. Elon took a deep breath and stood up. He reached into his wallet and left a generous tip, along with a small note. The waiter leaned in, his heart racing, to read the note. "Respect is earned through actions, not appearance." Elon looked at him one last time, his expression faintly amused. "Learn from this," he said quietly. "People will remember how you make them feel, not what you think of them." With that, Elon turned and walked away. The waiter stood still for a long moment, processing the encounter. He had been humbled in a way he would never forget. And as Elon disappeared out the door, the waiter knew this moment would change him. He would never again judge someone based on how they looked or the assumptions he made.